Hi guys, my name's Killbot, and I am just getting back into old school RuneScape after a pretty long stint in RuneScape 3. Now you may be wondering, why are you getting back into old school RuneScape? I'll tell you one reason. Leagues. I'm sure a lot of you out there were playing Leagues, and it's over. So what do we do now? Well, we get back onto old school RuneScape and see what it's all supposed to be like. Now before we go on this journey, why don't we take a look at where we've been. When I first started playing old school again, it was because they'd introduced the mobile version and I was pretty curious about how it would play. But by the time Leagues rolled around, my stats were below average to say the best. Now we did accomplish quite a bit in Leagues, getting through every single God Wars dungeon boss as well as Cerberus and quite a bit of Theater of Blood as well. But everything from killing a goblin to downing Berserk for the first time still left me wanting more. So I decided to go on a journey that I'm calling Rediscovering Old School RuneScape After Trailblazers. Kinda. But after watching everything on Trailblazers disappear, it made me that much more determined to get back on the main game and see what I could really accomplish. So I started with some quests, which I didn't used to be a huge fan of, but recently have grown a new appreciation for. So I set out to achieve my first short-term goal, which was getting everything from Jungle Potion all the way up through Desert Treasure. And I gotta say, it was kind of a blast. But ultimately, the end goal for this account is to get back to where I was in Leagues, including the Quest Cape and the Diary Cape. And you may be wondering, how are you gonna do that? But there's only one answer: grind. So here we have the next part of the big grind, which is Nightmare Zone. And we're going to Nightmare Zone because we have to imbue some stuff, really. I figured the levels would just come passively, but we do need to imbue a Berserker's Ring, and especially the Slayer Helmet, which you can tell we're quite a ways off of right now, but that'll change pretty quick. I am looking forward to doing some bursting tasks and getting my magic level up to around 75, then hoping the rest of it'll happen passively. But for the time being, I guess we'll sit here. Alright, well I think that's about enough Nightmare Zone for anybody at one point. We got a little over 1 million points now, so we're gonna take a little bit of a break and go do some Slayer, because it is my favorite skill in the game. But while we do that, I figured we could take a second and talk about what the future plans for this account were, as in the short term. Now, as far as the next week or so goes, I'm going to be highly focused on questing. I think that's going to be huge. But before I do questing, I'd really like to knock out some of the best in slot items, like the Mage Arena 2 capes. And I think that's going to be my next objective, is to head to my least favorite place in any RuneScape, which is the Wilderness. It's terrible, I hate it. I've never been a fan of PKing, probably never will be. But getting those capes, it is going to require me to go out there. So we're going to get out there, cast a bunch of god spells, and see what we can do with it. Hopefully the Wilderness is a little dead. I'll probably pick like anti-peak hours to do it in. But yeah, other than that, I think The next goal is going to be doing the Heroes quest, then the Legends quest, and trying to get the levels for... I'm kind of on the fence on this one, trying to get the levels for either Monkey Madness 2, Dragon Slayer 2, or Song of the Elves. I know all three of those are pretty high hurdles to pass, but I don't think it's impossible in the short game as far as old school RuneScape is concerned, not being an Iron Man. I feel like the leveling options are pretty narrow, but also pretty fast if you don't mind spending a little bit of money to get it done. So that's going to be my goal in the short term, and hopefully the next time you guys see a video from me, I'll have a little bit better magic gear. But after that Slayer task, heading over to Konar, gonna drop off some keys and hope for something decent, which we all know almost never happens, but, you know, hey, you cross your fingers. Got 3 keys on that task, so let's see what the old Brimmy chest gives us. I was hoping to see if they got anything good, but they're just here for assignments like me. So after that incredibly slow Konar task of worms, she decided to be a little nicer to me and give me one of my favorite Slayer tasks, which is the Blood Velds. Not quite sure why they're one of my favorites, but especially down here in the catacombs of Corinth, I love fighting these things. You can aggro 4 or 5 of them at a time, leave for a little bit, come back, and they're all dead. You just do that all over again. But right here we're going to be getting 75 Slayer, which is a huge level in old school because it unlocks gargoyles, which are a fantastic money maker. But before we pop on with any more Slayer, I figured it was time to knock out a few more of these prayer levels that we'd been sitting on in the bank. So right here we're going to get 74 prayer, which unlocks Rigor, the best range prayer in the game. And we were already pretty close to the last few prayers, so we went ahead and knocked out 75, 76, and last but not least 77, which does unlock Augury for us, which is the best in the game magic prayer. Alrighty, well I guess that about wraps up the first episode of Rediscovering Old School RuneScape. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did making it. This is my first time using any kind of editing software, so I hope you can forgive any of the mistakes that are in here with balancing and whatnot. But I am looking forward to making more episodes in the future. Hopefully within the next week we'll have the next episode. Working on a few more best in slot items, and maybe even knocking out a few achievement diaries along the way. We're going to be getting a few of those skills that are still super low level up so that we can have a fairly balanced account. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.